For one suspended heartbeat, the entire banquet froze. Not even the wind dared to rustle too loudly through the hunting grounds. Then, the old emperor moved first. He stepped down from his seat so abruptly that his wine cup tipped over, amber liquid soaking into the grass, but not a single person cared. "Shu Qing," he said, voice tight and almost trembling, "what did you just think?" Shu Yanmiao, halfway through stealing a roasted chestnut, nearly choked. "Huh?" The official stared at him with burning eyes, each gaze brighter than 10,000 lanterns. "Wait, did I say that out loud?" Prime Minister Doe staggered forward like a man 10 years younger, gripping his sleeves so hard his knuckles turned white. "Smallpox, prevention," his voice cracked. "Lord Shu, if there is truly a method, this concerns not merely Daxia, but generations upon generations." Even Princess Xiangyang, who usually treated all serious moments like stage performances, held her breath. Shu Yanmiao finally realized the gravity of the situation. "Oh, right. Ancient times, no vaccine yet." The system flipped pages cheerfully. "Actually, it's not complicated. Variolation. Use dried smallpox scabs from mild cases, grind them into powder, and introduce them through the nose. Risky, but far safer than full infection. Later, there's cowpox vaccination, which is better, but right now, variolation should work first." Silence. Absolute silence. Then, several veteran ministers swayed so hard they had to clutch each other. The court historian dropped his brush. The Minister of Revenue burst into tears on the spot. "History remembers me. It remembers me." "Shut up," roared the Minister of Works. "This is medicine, not budgeting." The old emperor's hands shook. Though he had conquered rebellions, weathered famines, and survived assassination attempts, never had he looked so emotionally overwhelmed. "Good, good." His voice thickened. "Heaven truly favors great Xia." Then he spun around with terrifying speed. "Imperial physicians, record every word. Assemble the Imperial Medical Bureau immediately. Prime Minister Doe, Crown Prince, all relevant ministries, full cooperation. Tonight. No, this very instant." A chorus of frantic acknowledgments exploded. "This minister obeys. This subject complies. Pens. Where are the pens?" Even Qin Guan forgot his humiliation over big pectoral muscles and shouted, "Protect Lord Shu." Ilala, though understanding none of it, sensed greatness was happening and enthusiastically raised his pork leg. "Skookum." Shilua Shui, eyes shining, translated emotionally. "He says Lord Shu is blessed by the feathered serpent god. I mean, I just remembered a vaccine." Shu Yanmiao watched as an entire dynasty collectively lost its mind. Wow, so this is what it feels like to accidentally speedrun public health reform. Meanwhile, in the shadows, the court historian's brush flew like a storm. On this day, Lord Shu spoke of smallpox prevention. The Son of Heaven rejoiced, ministers wept, and civilization advanced by several hundred years. The Crown Prince stared at Shu Yanmiao as though looking at a living national treasure. No, more terrifying than that. A national treasure that could also gossip, destroy reputations, expose scandals, and now save millions. Selective breeding? Wait, if that logic holds, then doesn't that mean matchmaking could be optimized like livestock breeding? Shu Yanmiao's eyes widened. No, that sounds way too dystopian. Imagine the Ministry of Rights issuing marriage charts. Preferred groom, tall, healthy, full teeth, low baldness risk. Princess Xiangyang nearly choked on her tea. The surrounding officials froze. The Minister of Rights, who had just stepped through the doorway, felt an inexplicable chill. And then there'd be regional rankings, northern provinces recommended for height, southern for business sense, scholarly families for intelligence. Absurd. An elderly censor burst out before realizing no one had actually spoken aloud. Silence. Everyone slowly turned to stare at him. The censor coughed violently. This official merely had a frog in his throat. Though, Shu Yanmiao rubbed his chin. It's not entirely absurd. If people already care about family background, temperament, and reputation, adding health isn't the strangest thing. The Minister of War, meanwhile, was spiraling in an entirely different direction. "My granddaughter must have the best," he declared, slamming both hands on the table. Everyone jumped. "Strongest horses, finest milk, daily sun exposure, sword practice by age 5. Minister of Revenue Yuan Jinki immediately frowned. "That sounds expensive." Minister of War sneered. "Not using your treasury." Then this official has no objections. "Poor future granddaughter. She hasn't even been brought back yet, and her life schedule is already fuller than the Crown Prince's." The Crown Prince? Why was he dragged into this? At that moment, Prime Minister Doe, who had only just left, silently turned around and came back. Regarding marriage policy, all nearby officials jolted upright. Do Qing slowly stroked his beard. "No policy changes." Several ministers secretly sighed in relief. Then he added, "However, perhaps an educational pamphlet on healthy marriages may not be inappropriate. The Ministry of Rights, the Hanlin Academy. Who was writing that?" Shu Yanmiao's mental voice immediately perked up. "Oh, ancient premarital counseling. This is groundbreaking. Chapter 1, check family medical history. Chapter 2, verify temperament before marriage. Preferably not by discovering after the wedding that your spouse throws chamber pots when angry." A few officials quietly lowered their heads. That sounded oddly specific. Princess Xiangyang laughed so hard she nearly fell off her chair. Even Do Qing's beard twitched. But Shu Yanmiao wasn't done. Chapter 3, Teeth Inspection. Open mouths say ah. The court erupted. Even the old emperor, upon hearing the report later, laughed so hard he had to set down his brush. Good, he wheezed. Very good. He immediately issued one command. From this day forward, imperial physicians evaluating royal marriage candidates will add dental checks. The imperial clan. And thus, for the first time in great Xia history, a princess's prospective consort was rejected not for poor lineage, bad character, or lack of talent, but because of 3 rotten molars. Today's court was in utter chaos, not over policy, but marriage. Hanlin lecturer Lu Yi investigated his prospective in-law's family tree, and upon discovering that 3 generations had all died between 40 and 60, immediately broke off the engagement. A talented son-in-law was worthless if he died too early. Elsewhere, a censor-in-chief successfully married his grandson into the royal family based on one absurd advantage alone: excellent teeth. Why? Because the princess's father suffered chronic toothaches and had become bizarrely obsessed with dental health. Another newly minted Jinchi became the capital's hottest bachelor, not for his exam rank, but because his grandmother, mother of 6, was still alive and healthy at 85. Thus, matchmaking evolved. Politics and wealth still mattered, but now hereditary health, facial structure, and longevity entered negotiations. Xu Yanmiao, however, knew none of this. He was too busy digging through people's ancestors. On leave, he traveled with Liang Rui to Prime Minister Dou's 80th birthday banquet in Yiyang County. Along the way, Liang Rui educated him on retired officials returning to the countryside and transforming into unchecked local tyrants. Imperial authority does not reach the countryside. Xu Yanmiao casually summarized. Lian Hong nearly died of fright. Those 5 words were enough to stab straight through dynastic legitimacy. At Dou's banquet, retired officials arrived in peacock-like extravagance: gold bridles, jade horse ornaments, silver-plated carriages. Xu Yanmiao was stunned. Even imperial gifts weren't this luxurious. Then his divine gossip ability kicked in. One former magistrate, land thief. Another official, descendant of an ancient king who once seized a minister's garden to raise pigs. The emperor, disguised as Gao Tieju, overheard this and immediately began eyeing everyone's gardens for royal pig farming. Officials suffered silently. Meanwhile, former magistrate Zhang tried currying favor with Xu Yanmiao using exotic plants. Lemon trees? Lemon water? Lemon chicken feet? Bitter melon omelets? Cilantro? Xu internally declared all hoarders of cilantro guilty of crimes against Hot Pot. Zhang thought he'd found a refined botanical soulmate. He had, in fact, found a foodie. Then came Prime Minister Dou's masterstroke. For months, he had deliberately acted extravagant, baiting retired officials into revealing their corruption at his birthday banquet. Once gathered, he locked the doors, staged a grotesque live sheep skinning demonstration, and publicly exposed their decadence, land theft, and abuses. His goal? Feed them directly to Xu Yanmiao's supernatural background checking ability. And it worked too well. Xu's inner voice exploded. These people seized imperial public farmland meant for landless peasants, over 1,000 qing each, then charged starving peasants rent. Prime Minister Du nearly ripped out his own beard. He'd expected tax evasion, not large-scale theft of state survival infrastructure. The hall descended into panic. One official screamed, "Knock him unconscious now!" Because everyone suddenly realized the greatest threat in Great Xia wasn't the emperor. It was one college student with intrusive thoughts and access to everyone's search history.